Chapter 1. The Calm Before the Storm. In the quaint town of Willow Creek, where life moved at a leisurely pace and neighbors exchanged pleasantries over white picket fences, Lucy and Michael Parker seemed to have the perfect marriage. Their home, a charming two-story cottage adorned with blooming flowers and a well-manicured lawn, painted an idyllic picture of domestic bliss. Lucy, a vibrant woman in her early 30s with sun-kissed hair and a smile that could light up even the gloomiest day, was the heart of their home. Michael, her devoted husband, was a high school teacher. He was kind-hearted and dependable, qualities admired by many in their tight-knit community. Lucy and Michael had been married for 8 years, a relationship built on love, laughter, and shared dreams. They often reminisced about their early days, the exhilarating thrill of romance that enveloped them when they first met in college. Despite the routine of their lives, the couple took time to cherish each other. Regular date nights, surprise notes left on the kitchen counter, and weekend getaways where they could escape the mundane. Yet, beneath the surface of their seemingly perfect lives, the subtle cracks of discontent were beginning to form. Lucy had always been the adventurous one in their marriage, yearning for more from life than the peaceful monotony of her suburban existence. While she loved Michael deeply, a gnawing feeling of stagnation was creeping in. She dreamed of traveling the world, pursuing her passion for art, and rekindling the adventurous spirit she'd felt in her youth. That gnawing feeling would soon birth a decision that would change the course of their lives forever. It was on a rainy Wednesday evening when Lucy attended an art exhibition alone, a local showcase that featured emerging artists from the area. As she wandered through the gallery, surrounded by beautiful paintings and sculptures, her heart raced with the thrill of creativity and passion that she missed deeply. Engaging in conversations with the artists, she felt alive and inspired again. It was there that she met Daniel, a charming photographer with a magnetic personality. He had an air of mystery about him, coupled with an undeniable charisma that drew Lucy in. They began speaking, their conversation flowing effortlessly. Daniel was passionate, adventurous, and somehow awakened a part of Lucy that had remained dormant for years. They exchanged numbers, and after leaving the exhibit, Lucy felt exhilaration mixed with an unsettling sense of guilt. As the days turned into weeks, what started as innocent text exchanges turned into late-night conversations filled with laughter and shared vulnerabilities. Lucy found herself confiding in Daniel about her dreams, her frustrations with her marriage, and her desires for a more fulfilling life. He listened, encouraging her to embrace the passion for art that her responsibilities had suppressed. For the first time in years, she felt seen, understood, and appreciated in ways she had forgotten existed. Initially, Lucy felt the thrill of excitement without any intention of crossing the line. But as their conversations grew deeper, her resolve began to weaken. The lines between friendship and something more blurred as they began to meet secretly. At first, they met innocently in cafes or secluded parks just outside of town, sharing dreams and passions. Each meeting reinvigorated Lucy, filling her with the kind of happiness and thrill that she had lost. With every caress of Daniel's hand or every shared glance that lingered a second too long, the thrill of their connection transformed into something darker, a passionate affair that fed on the very discontent Lucy had been struggling with. She knew it was wrong, but the exhilaration was intoxicating, and general obligations and duties faded into the background. As Michael was blissfully unaware, coming home each day, excited to share his small victories at work and plan for their future, Lucy found herself trapped between two worlds, the loving wife and the passionate lover. Her guilt was mounting, but each time she saw Daniel, it felt momentarily erased. Little did she know that the innocent spark of a newfound friendship was about to ignite a wildfire, consuming everything in its path. As autumn turned the leaves a fiery red, Lucy found herself at a crossroads. The valley of happiness she had once inhabited with Michael began to feel eerily unfamiliar. The darker the nights became, the more she embraced her double life, entangled in the thrill of infidelity yet shackled by the anxiety of being exposed. The stage for tragedy was being set, and beneath the soft whispers of romance and rebellion lay cracks that could shatter everything she held dear: the love, the trust, the very foundation on which their life together had been built. Would Lucy be able to navigate the tangled web she had spun? Or would the truth come crashing down, bringing with it a heart-wrenching disintegration of all she held dear? Chapter 2: The Breaking Point. As the leaves fell and winter crept in, Lucy found herself sitting in her kitchen one crisp December evening, staring out the window at the falling snowflakes. Each flake seemed to glide effortlessly to the ground, unlike the chaos swirling within her heart. Michael hummed softly while preparing dinner, completely unaware of the tempest brewing within his wife. The kitchen smelled of rosemary and garlic, the kind of warmth that usually made Lucy feel at home. Yet tonight it felt suffocating, a reminder of everything she was jeopardizing. That evening marked the anniversary of their first date. Michael had planned a romantic dinner, candles flickering gently, a bottle of their favorite wine, and a beautifully wrapped gift resting expectantly beneath the tree. While he excitedly talked about the plans he had for them in the coming year, Lucy felt a chasm growing between their lives. She smiled and nodded at his words, but her mind drifted to Daniel. How his laugh echoed in her ears and how his arms felt around her, safer and warmer than she ever anticipated. "Lucy, you okay?" Michael asked, concern etching lines of worry across his forehead. "Just tired," she lied, forcing a smile. "It's been a long week." She busied herself with the wine glasses, trying to bury her guilt beneath the clinking of glass and the aroma of roast chicken. As they settled into dinner, sparks flew, but they were hollow, tinged with Lucy's internal conflict. The conversation floated from mundane matters to future plans, all while Lucy felt her heart slowly sinking. Each word Michael spoke, filled with love and gratitude, struck her like a dagger. She felt unworthy, a counterfeit version of the woman he believed her to be. "Let's open the gift," Michael suggested, his eyes shining with excitement. Lucy gulped, wishing desperately for an escape. "I can't wait for you to see what I got." He reached under the tree and pulled out the neatly wrapped box, handing it to her with a boyish grin. As she unwrapped it, a flood of emotions crashed over her. Inside, nestled within crimson tissue paper, was a stunning silver bracelet, adorned with tiny charms that represented moments from their life together. A miniature house, a book, and a tiny heart. "I thought it would be perfect to remind you of all the love we've built," he said, grinning widely. Lucy couldn't speak. Tears sprung to her eyes, condemning her for the betrayal her heart had committed. "Michael, it's beautiful. I love it," she managed, her voice trembling. She slipped it on, the delicate metal clinking against her wrist as if it were chaining her to the reality she was trying so desperately to escape. Throughout the evening, Lucy's heart pulsed with the knowledge that she was living a lie. Her heart entangled in a web that would surely strangle everything she loved. That night, as Michael wrapped his arms around her, a warm embrace filled with genuine love and trust, she turned away, unable to breathe under the weight of her own conscience. Over the coming weeks, the affair with Daniel intensified, blending in with the cold of winter. They met more frequently, sharing stolen moments that felt like brief escapes from reality. An afternoon coffee here, a quick kiss in the shadow of a local park there. Each time, Lucy would return home to Michael with a heart full of guilt masked under the guise of affection, pretending that nothing had changed. Yet reality can only be buried for so long. One bleak January evening, as Lucy returned from a rendezvous with Daniel, breathless and exhilarated, she found Michael sitting by the fireplace in hushed silence. The atmosphere felt heavy, charged with an unspoken tension. His eyes, usually bright and full of life, seemed clouded with suspicion. "Lucy, can we talk?" he asked, his voice steady yet laced with concern. Conflicted, her heart racing at the idea of having her secret exposed, she nodded, taking a seat opposite him. "Is everything all right?" Michael ventured cautiously. "You've seemed distant lately. I just want to make sure you're okay." Her throat felt dry as she grappled with the urge to cry out in confession. But the truth hung precariously on her lips, far too heavy to utter. "I'm fine, Michael. Just busy with work, you know how it is," she lied, each fabricated syllable crushing another piece of her inside. Lucy, please. His voice was softer now, filled with worry. If something is wrong, you can tell me. I feel like we're not. He hesitated, searching for the right words. I feel like we're not connected like we used to be. That was it. The Achilles heel he'd unknowingly presented. Guilt surged through Lucy, constricting her chest. No, it's nothing like that. Promise. I love you. But her assurance sounded hollow against the undeniable truth that dwelled inside. For the next few days, Michael's instincts intensified. He noticed the changes in Lucy's demeanor, the distant gazes, the late nights spent buried in her phone. There was turmoil brewing beyond the smooth exterior of their life, a storm threatening to break. One fateful night, while Michael worked late on a project, Lucy's phone buzzed with a message from Daniel. The thrill of the affair, the hidden texts, the secret plans, sent a rush of adrenaline through her veins. Her heart raced as she replied eagerly. But little did she know that in the wake of that text, the universe conspired to expose every hidden truth. Moments later, the door creaked open behind her. Michael had returned early. Without her knowing, he had stepped silently into the dimly lit room just in time to see her smile at the screen, the light illuminating her face. Distraught and shaken, Michael stepped back, watching Lucy type furiously, blissfully unaware of his presence. It was that image, the laughter that danced on her lips at the sight of another man's words, that shattered whatever fragile trust still lingered in the depths of his heart. Chapter 3: The Revelation. The air was thick with tension as Michael stood frozen, blood roaring in his ears. He could hardly breathe as he watched Lucy, a woman he believed was wholly devoted to him, became effortlessly enthralled by a device that had become a bridge to a life he never knew existed. The moment felt surreal, like a cruel twist of fate that magnified every secret he had feared lurking beneath their peaceful life. The laughter, the intimacy, the warmth, it all seemed to fade away, replaced by a chilling sense of betrayal. Lucy! His voice trembled as he stepped forward, his presence shattering the illusion she had been wrapped in. Lucy whipped around, her eyes wide with shock and guilt, the brightness in her expression extinguished in an instant. Michael. She stammered, her heart racing. Who is he? Michael demanded, his voice sharper than he intended, the pain of betrayal igniting a fire within. What's going on, Lucy? I can explain. Her voice was a desperate whisper, but she could feel the weight of the truth pressing down on her, threatening to crush everything she held dear. Explain. His eyes narrowed, hurt flashing across his face. You're texting someone late at night, and I walk in on you smiling at your phone. What is there to explain? The room felt impossibly small, the shadows closing in on Lucy as she battled with the truth hanging precariously between them. Desperation clawed at her insides, every fiber of her being pleaded for the ability to turn back time, to take back the laughter and joy she had found outside their marriage. Please, Michael, it wasn't supposed to be like this. Then how was it supposed to be? He retorted, his voice thick with frustration. Were you just going to keep it hidden from me? Was I to walk around in blissful ignorance while you filled your time with someone else? Each word landed like a physical blow, ripping through her heart. The swelling tide of guilt threatened to drown her as tears welled in her eyes. I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. I never meant for this to happen. She grasped for forgiveness in the depths of Michael's gaze, but his features were etched in pain, disappointment layered thick across his brow. Then what was it? A fling? An escape from reality? Tell me, Lucy. More than that. It was intoxicating. The truth burst forth, raw and unfiltered. It filled the void I didn't know I had. But it was foolish. I see that now. I love you, but... Michael shook his head, pain coursing through him as he took a step back, his heart breaking anew. But what? But you love him too. No, she cried, desperation lacing her voice. I love you. I've always loved you. But I've been lost. I've felt trapped in a life that feels stagnant. Meeting Daniel made me feel alive again, and I got swept up in it. But I never meant to hurt you. But you did, he said quietly. The room was thick with silence, each second ticking painfully on, echoing the truth she had revealed. You took the love we built together and shattered it, Lucy. How can I trust you again? The realization began to crash over her, drowning out her resolve. In her quest for excitement and adventure, she had lost everything that mattered. Michael, please. I'll do anything to fix this. I would give anything to go back, to tell him it was over. Can you really? Michael asked, pain flashing in his eyes. Can you erase it all? Can you promise that you can overcome the thrill of being with someone new? The excitement of being desired. Lucy's heart felt heavy in her chest. She thought of Daniel's touch, his laughter, but that was only half the story. The other half was the life she had built with Michael, the laughter they shared, the memories they had created. I made a mistake, I know that now, and I'm so sorry. Please. You have to believe me. We had a life, Lucy. Everything was perfect. We had plans, dreams. And you threw it away for a moment of excitement. He rubbed his temples, the anguish evident in his demeanor. If you loved me as you said you did, you wouldn't even be talking to him. Each word cut through her, a brutal reminder of the choices she'd made. Their dreams, their laughter, the simple moments, they all hung in the air, lessons of trust now poisoned by the infidelity she had committed. I'll do anything, she whispered again, her voice barely audible, tears streaming down her cheeks. I'll come clean, put it all on the line. I'll tell my friends, my family. I'll end it with him. Just please don't walk away. Michael took a shuddering breath, shaking his head as he pressed his hands against his forehead, trying to stave off the impending heartbreak. I don't know if I can trust you again. How can I look at you and not think about him? About what you've done. Despair settled over Lucy as she felt helplessness wash over her. She wanted to reach out, to comfort him, to repair the severed bond, but the reality was stark and painful. You're right. I'm not sure how you can. But I hope that maybe with time, you can find it in your heart to forgive me. Suddenly, Michael straightened as if a realization had struck him. Maybe you should tell him, he said suddenly, his voice cold and controlled. Call him. Do it now. End this. Michael. Now, he snapped, the anger spilling over as the truth bubbled and churned violently. Swallowing hard with trembling hands, Lucy reluctantly reached for her phone. Her heart raced as she scrolled to Daniel's name, a bolt of fear coursing through her at the thought of severing the thrill that had taken her away from herself. Yet in that moment, she knew that the risk of losing Michael was far greater than the chance of losing the escapade with Daniel. Please don't make me do this, she begged softly, tears spilling onto her cheeks. Do it. Michael's voice resonated deeply, a combination of anger and heartbreak that echoed in the empty space around them. With a tear-streaked face and a desperate heart, Lucy pressed the call button, listening to the ringing on the other end as Michael watched, both hopeful and tortured at the same time. Daniel picked up, a cheerful greeting bypassing the gravity of the moment. Lucy. What's up? Daniel, we need to talk, she stammered, her voice breaking. Is everything okay? He asked, and for a fleeting moment, nostalgia gripped her, remembering the excitement they had shared. No, it's not okay. I can't see you anymore. Michael's gaze bore into her, a mix of anger and a glimmer of hope struggling to emerge. Wait, what? Daniel asked, confusion in his tone. Why? It's my marriage. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have gone behind Michael's back. I'm so sorry. Tension pulsed through the room as Daniel's silence hung ominously in the air. You're married. You never said. I know, and I'm so sorry for everything. But this is over. I can't keep doing this to him or to myself. Lucy, think about this. We had something real. His voice turned pleading. That was a fantasy. Please just let me go. I can't do this anymore. Finally, Daniel released a heavy sigh. Fine. But I'll always be here if you change your mind. With that, she hung up, feeling a mixture of relief and tremors of loss overload her heart. Chapter 4. the long shadows. The days drifted into weeks, each one an excruciating reminder of the gravity of Lucy's actions. With every sunrise and sunset, she felt the weight of her choices bear down on her. The warmth of Michael's embrace had dissipated, replaced with a chilly distance that enveloped the house they once filled with laughter. Walls that echoed tenderness now rang hollow, suffocating her with the silence of unspoken words and unhealed wounds. Michael was tormented. He moved about the house as if walking on shattered glass, careful yet seemingly lost. Lucy could feel the change in him, the way his smile had waned and how his laughter barely surfaced. He threw himself into work, late nights consumed by tasks that kept him away from their dimly lit home, where the specter of intimacy had become a ghost. Each night Lucy lay awake, consumed by guilt and regret. She had worked hard to build a life filled with love, only to dismantle it for a fleeting thrill. Now she found herself yearning for the simple moments they used to share, curling up on the couch with a movie, spontaneous trips to their favorite cafe, mornings spent lazily lingering in bed. One evening, as winter held its icy grip on the world outside, Lucy sat at the dining table in silence, a steaming cup of tea clutched between her hands. The snow fell softly against the window, blanketing the world in white, a stark contrast to the chaos nestled within her heart. She reached for her phone, contemplating sending Michael a message, an olive branch to bridge the chasm that had grown between them. But as her fingers hovered over the screen, the doubt crept in. Would it be an intrusion or a heartfelt attempt to reach out? The door creaked open, interrupting her thoughts. Michael stepped in, shaking the snow from his coat as he entered. A frigid gust followed him inside, carrying the cold air that felt as if it had permeated into his soul. He paused, glancing at her before moving to the kitchen. This ritual had become a familiar dance, separate yet together. "Hey," Lucy ventured, her voice barely above a whisper. "Hi," he replied, his voice lacking warmth. He busied himself preparing a simple dinner, the clatter of pots and pans a stark reminder of the silence suffocating their once vibrant home. There was an ache in her chest, an overwhelming desire to reach out and pull him into her, to erase the distance lingering in the air. But every time she tried, the words slipped away like sand through her fingers. "I was thinking, maybe we could talk?" Michael paused, his back toward her. "About what? What's there left to discuss?" Lucy flinched at the sharpness in his tone. I want to listen. I want to understand where we stand." There was a heavy pause, one that stretched endlessly, the tension palpable. Finally he turned to face her, his expression pained yet resolute. "I don't want to rehash everything again, Lucy. It's exhausting. I don't want to feel the hurt of betrayal every time we sit down together." Flashing back to the moments of joy, when understanding flowed between them effortlessly, left her heart aching with a longing she couldn't ignore. "I know. But I need you to understand how sorry I am." He looked at her, his green eyes flickering with hurt and simmering anger. "How many times can we go through this? I know you're sorry, but that doesn't change the fact that you chose him over me." At that moment, the walls of the home echoed her heart's deep yearning for redemption. "I didn't choose him, Michael. I made a terrible mistake and I'm owning it. I'm here fighting for you. I want to rebuild what we had." He sighed, running a hand through his hair, frustration etched deep into his features. "Rebuilding trust takes time, Lucy, time that I'm not sure I have right now. Right now, I feel like you shattered everything that mattered." The pain in his voice resonated through her. "Then let me help you, even if it means taking small steps. We can work through this together." Michael's brow furrowed, conflict raging within him. "Together? How? I don't know how to see you without picturing him, what you've done." The walls of the dining room seemed to shrink as Lucy took a deep breath, grounding herself. "Then let's start with honesty. No more secrets. Ask me anything you need to know. I'll answer, I swear." His silence spoke volumes, and they both recognized that a rock had been unturned in their relationship, a steep hill they had to climb to drive out the shadows that haunted them both. Fine, he finally said, the tension still thick. What do you want from me? How can I forgive the woman who broke my heart? Lucy's heart raced as she absorbed his words, understanding the labyrinth of emotion they would need to navigate. I want you to feel safe with me again. I want to show you that I'll fight for us. I'll do anything to earn back your trust. A flicker of something, hope or pain she could not tell, crossed his features, hinting at the possibility, but it quickly vanished behind the shadows. You have to understand, I might not be ready to forgive. I understand. I just need a chance, she pleaded, knowing it wouldn't be easy but desperate to pierce the armor of resentment and pain that surrounded him. Let's take this one step at a time, he said finally, his voice low and guarded. But know that it won't be easy for me. I get it. Just please let's try, she responded, her voice steady with determination. The dark clouds began to clear, but there was still a long way to go. As they began to carve out the fragile beginnings of a new foundation, uncertainty lingered like a shadow, a reminder of the scars that would take a long time to heal. Days turned into weeks, but Lucy committed herself to showing Michael that she was earnest in her efforts. She began to attend counseling on her own, immersing herself in the process of forgiveness and self-examination. With every session, she unraveled layers of her past, understanding the patterns that had led her to seek solace outside her marriage. In confronting herself, she hoped to bring clarity to the relationship that remained teetering on the edge. Sometimes Michael would join her for their sessions, his presence a flicker of light among the darkness. Each time they opened up with their therapist, it felt as if they were navigating through a minefield. The deep-seated wounds were laid bare, but slowly, the cracks forged by betrayal began to fill with the soil of understanding. One chilly Saturday afternoon, Lucy came home to find Michael in the living room, a steaming mug of coffee by his side, the soft glow of sunlight streaming in from the window. He seemed absorbed in thought as he flipped through an old photo album, a time capsule of their youth. Cautiously, she approached, and he looked up as she entered, their eyes meeting for a brief moment that felt loaded with history. Hey, she said softly, her heart pounding. Hey, he gestured to the album. Just looking through some of these. Lucy sat down beside him, her heart racing in anticipation. She leaned in to glance over the pictures, the memories flooding her with warmth and nostalgia. Hiking trips, silly selfies, and spontaneous adventures. Every image was a reminder of the love that had once blossomed freely between them. Chapter 5. The Path to Forgiveness. The weeks turned into a rhythm punctuated by small victories and setbacks. Lucy devoted herself to rebuilding the trust that had been so profoundly shaken. Every evening, they would sit side by side on the couch, a thick blanket pulled over their legs, carefully navigating the delicate terrain of their healing journey. Conversations flowed easily one night, while the next might erupt in tight-lipped silences and lingering glances steeped in unspoken feelings. One Friday evening after a particularly long week, Lucy suggested they have a movie night, something light-hearted, a break from the weight of their reality. I found that old rom-com we used to love, she announced, searching Michael's face for a reaction. He paused, a flicker of nostalgia in his eyes. You mean the one with the disastrous cooking scenes? Yes. I think it might be just what we need, she grinned, her heart surging with hope as he nodded. As the opening credits rolled, they settled into the familiar comfort of their old routine. Laughter erupted during the ridiculous mishaps of the characters, and for a moment, Lucy cherished the gentle warmth of companionship that had been so elusive. Michael's guardedness seemed to soften, and she could see glimpses of the man she fell in love with, the one who could joke and tease her without hesitation. But as the laughter faded into the film's romantic climax, the specter of their reality crept back in. Lucy's heart sank as she sensed the change in Michael's expression. His jaw clenched as the screen delivered its well-worn punchline, a professed love that felt light and easy. "What's on your mind?" she asked gently, reaching for his hand. He turned to her, the flicker of emotion in his eyes betraying a storm brewing beneath the surface. "It's just, I wish I could feel that kind of trust again, the kind that made everything seem so easy. Lucy's heart twisted at his words, both a reminder of what they had lost and a glimpse of the road ahead. "I know," she said softly, keeping her grip steady around his hand. "And I'll do everything I can to earn that trust back. I don't want to push you. I just want to be here however long it takes." His gaze softened, and for a moment, it felt like they were back in the early days, when hopes and dreams flowed freely between them, unmarred by the reality they now faced. "Let's talk more about it," Michael said finally, leaning back into the couch as he unclenched the tension in his shoulders. "I want to try and work through this." Days melted into weeks of earnest conversations about vulnerability, mistakes, and the gradual reconstruction of their intimacy. They each unearthed layers of their hearts, old fears, hidden insecurities, desires they had neglected. With every earnest conversation, Lucy felt herself shedding the shame of her past, replacing it with a commitment to transparency and understanding. One Sunday afternoon, as golden sunlight streamed through the kitchen windows, Lucy found herself inspired. She wanted to do something special, a gesture that could remind Michael of the love they shared and the possibility of rebuilding that love into something different, but stronger. "Hey, how about a day out?" she suggested over breakfast, a plan forming in her mind. "We could go visit that little art festival downtown. Remember how we used to enjoy those?" Michael looked up, surprise flickering in his eyes. "Are you sure you're up for going out in public together? With everything that's happened?" "I am," she said, determination lacing her voice. "Besides, it could be fun. Just like old times." After a moment's hesitation, he finally agreed, and Lucy felt a rush of happiness. Thrilled at this small victory, she spent the next couple of hours preparing for their outing. She picked out a simple summer dress, a flash of color against the starkness that had filled their lives. As they walked hand in hand through the bustling streets, Lucy felt a giddy sense of anticipation. The art festival was lively, filled with the sounds of laughter, music, and chatter from other couples sharing in the joy of the day. Colorful stalls lined the sidewalks, showcasing vibrant paintings, intricate jewelry, and handcrafted crafts. Michael appeared gradually relaxed. He seemed more present, drawn in by the lively atmosphere. Lucy couldn't help but smile as they ambled through the crowd, pointing out paintings that captured their interest and reminiscing about their past outings. In one small booth, a local artist was painting live, mesmerized by the fluid strokes of his brush. "The colors are so vibrant," Michael remarked, his eyes lighting up at the beautiful piece coming to life before them. "That's what attracted me to art in the first place," Lucy admitted, her heart lifted. "The ability to capture raw emotions and translate them into something beautiful." Michael nodded thoughtfully. "You always had a way of seeing beyond what was right in front of you." The words hung delicately between them, a hint of their former connection shining through. Lucy seized the moment to navigate toward the artist. "Would you be willing to do a portrait of us?" she asked, her voice a mix of hope and anticipation. The artist looked up, an easy smile spreading across his face. "Of course. It might take a little while, but I'd love to." As they posed together, Lucy watched Michael as he relaxed into the moment, his laughter spilling forth like the light of dawn. It felt liberating, as if they were peeling away the layers of hurt, a journey toward a fresh canvas, beautifully unrestrained by the weight of expectation. After the portrait was complete, they stood framed within the canvas of the artist's creation, gazing at the piece reflecting a moment of hope and renewed connection. "Look at us," Michael chuckled, pointing at the painting with an amused smile. "That's definitely a more optimistic portrayal of our current lifestyle." "Hey, it's art. It's supposed to be interpreted in multiple ways," she teased back, her heart fluttering as she stepped close to him, reveling in the joy of the shared experience. With each passing moment, Lucy could sense Michael's walls beginning to lower, replaced by glimpses of who they used to be, a couple entrenched in love and laughter, rather than fear and uncertainty. As the sun began its descent, casting a warm golden hue over the festival, Michael turned to her, sincerity etched across his face. "I really had a good time today." "Me too," Lucy breathed, her heart fluttering. I really hope this is the first of many outings, just like old times. He met her gaze, and in that moment, they both understood that healing was not just about forgetting the past but also acknowledging it together. I think I could get used to this, he said softly, a trace of hope dancing in his eyes. That night, as they settled back into their home, the atmosphere felt lighter. The darkness that had once overwhelmed them was beginning to fade, as the small flickers of light rekindled a sense of possibility. However, Lucy knew the journey ahead would still be filled with hurdles to overcome. Moments of insecurity would still rise, and the shadows of the past would harbor lingering doubts. But as they drifted off to sleep, holding on to each other tightly, a newfound understanding settled in. Perhaps rebuilding was not about returning to who they once were. It was about creating something more profound, something born out of their flaws and vulnerabilities, unified by their commitment to grow together. Chapter 6. Fractured Truths. The weeks that followed their day at the art festival were a mix of healing and revelation. Lucy and Michael shared more outings, each serving as a small building block in the reconstruction of their relationship. Slowly, laughter began to fill the spaces that had once been marked by silence. But with each step forward, shadows from the past lingered, waiting for the opportunity to ensnare them both. One rainy evening, as they cozied up against the sounds of raindrops tapping against the windows, Lucy felt the weight of something unshared pressing upon her. It was a truth she had held tightly, not out of malice but fear that revealing it would only deepen the wounds that still throbbed between them. "Michael," she began hesitantly. He looked up from the book he was reading, curiosity peeking in his eyes. "There's something I want to share with you. Something I've been holding back." His brow furrowed slightly. "What is it?" "I've been seeing a therapist independently, and I think it's helped me understand some of the roots of my behavior." She took a breath, her heart racing. "There's a lot I realized about why I sought comfort outside of our relationship, and I'd like to talk about it with you." Michael set his book aside, intensity drawing through his gaze. "Okay. I'm listening." Taking a deep breath, Lucy continued. "It's not an excuse for what I did, but I've come to understand some of my insecurities and patterns that led me down that road. A part of it stems from my upbringing, seeing the chaos in my parents' marriage and how love sometimes felt conditional. I guess I've always felt like I needed to prove my worth." As she spoke, she could see the range of emotions flickering across Michael's face. Confusion, empathy, and just a hint of anger. "So you sought validation elsewhere?" he asked, his words edged with unsteady calmness. "Yes," she admitted, her voice trembling. "But it wasn't a conscious choice, Michael. I wasn't looking to hurt you. I thought I needed something outside of us to feel whole. I see that now, and it hurts to admit." Michael's gaze hardened slightly, the hurt evident beneath his brow. "Why didn't you tell me this sooner? It feels like you've kept another secret." "I thought it would hurt you more," she replied, her heart racing as she braced for his reaction. "I wanted to protect you and let you heal without dredging up even more painful memories. But I understand now that it was a mistake to keep it from you." Silence filled the room, the air thick with rising tension. Michael looked away, processing her words, wrestling with his emotions. The vulnerability she offered hung heavy between them, luminous yet fragile. "I'm trying to take things one day at a time," he finally said, his tone measured. "But it's hard, Lucy. I need to know that there are no other secrets between us." "I promise you," she insisted, leaning forward, desperate to reach him. "I want us to be honest, no matter how painful that honesty is. I want to face this together, even the ugly parts." He met her gaze, the struggle in his eyes evident as he weighed her words. "Okay. But I can't shake the feeling that I don't really know who you are right now. The truth so far has been hard to swallow." "I understand," she said softly. "I'm still learning too. I want you to see all of me, the good and the broken. Can we navigate through this together? I need you to be my partner in this journey." He released a long, shuddering breath, uncertainty lingering in the air. I want that, Lucy. Really do. But it's like each layer I peel back reveals more hurt. I don't want to keep feeling like this. I won't hide from you anymore, she promised earnestly. Let's tackle this together. I'm here to face the past with you, one step at a time. The rain continued to patter softly against the windows, and Lucy could feel the weight of uncertainty still shadowing their conversation. But amid the turbulence, a flicker of connection ignited, a promise to remain transparent as they faced the storm that had swept through their lives. As days melded into nights, they continued their dance of vulnerability and understanding. Each exposure of their emotions, fear, regret, hope, sowed the seeds of renewal in their bond. Lucy noticed the moments of warmth returning to Michael's gaze with each shared story, each laugh, and each late-night conversation that bled into dawn. But with the newfound honesty came unforeseen challenges. The darkness of betrayal still flashed in Michael's eyes at unexpected moments, unexpected and uninvited, reminders of their fractured past. One evening, as they cuddled on the couch, watching an old sitcom, the scene turned to a couple navigating infidelity and trust. Michael's expression shifted, the tension rippling across his body. "At what point do we stop being a cautionary tale?" he murmured, his voice heavy with unfiltered pain. "I wish I could promise that we'll never face challenges brought by my past again," Lucy replied, her heart sinking as she prepared for the delicate conversation. "But that's not reality. What I can promise is that I'm committed to doing the work with you. I don't want us to be an example of what ruined relationships look like. I want us to redefine our narrative." He looked at her, the conflict wrestling in his eyes. "You talk about this so easily, like it's just a matter of putting in the work." "It might seem easy, but it's the hardest thing I've ever had to face," she confessed. "But I want to do it with you. Together, I believe we can rewrite our story. It may not be perfect, but it will be ours." Chapter 7. The Edge of Darkness. As spring settled into a steady rhythm, the landscape transformed around Lucy and Michael, just as their relationship began to evolve. The sunlight filtered through the trees, casting a warm glow on their path forward, yet the shadows of the past remained persistent companions. Despite their endeavors to nurture their bond, love can be both a beautiful symphony and a lurking storm, easily disrupted by moments of doubt. One evening, while they were cooking dinner together, a new tradition they had adopted, an unexpected tension broke through the air. Michael had been strangely quiet, lost in thought as he chopped vegetables. Lucy could sense the change in his demeanor, like a chill sweeping through their shared space. "Hey," she said, trying to pierce the silence. "Is everything okay?" He paused, knife suspended mid-air, then set it down. "Do you ever think about how fragile this all is?" he asked, his voice low. "About how easily we could slip back into that darkness?" Lucy felt a wave of sadness wash over her. "I do think about it sometimes," she admitted. "But I also believe we're stronger now. We've faced the pain together, and that has to count for something." "I want to believe that," he replied, turning to face her. "But do you really think we're equipped to handle another crisis? To navigate through the darkness that's still there? What if I don't have it in me again?" His vulnerability struck a chord within her, and she stepped closer, reaching out to cup his face in her hands. "We can't predict the future, Michael. But what we can do is commit to confronting any challenges together. We're not alone in this. But what if one of us fails?" His voice tightened, eyes swimming with uncertainty. "What if I let you down, or what if the past catches up to us?" Lucy's heart sank at the weight of his fears, knowing they were shadows cast by their shared trauma. "We've both made mistakes, but we've also fought to rebuild. That's what matters. Even if our journey is fraught with bumps, we'll face them one way or another, together." As he looked into her eyes, she could see the walls he had constructed lingering just below the surface. It was a fleeting reminder that they were two imperfect individuals working toward a better version of themselves, and the cracks in their foundation were still settling. Chapter 8. Navigating the Forks. The shadows of their past remained, But Lucy and Michael had started to carve out a new rhythm between them, a dance grounded in patience, openness, and the messy beauty of unraveling their truths. Each conversation, whether it flowed easily or stumbled through uncertainty, became a crucial stride toward the partnership they envisioned. With the arrival of summer, the days stretched longer, filled with possibilities and new beginnings. On weekends, they sought solace in the sun-drenched corners of their city. Whether strolling through farmers' markets, exploring art galleries, or simply sitting in peaceful cafes, each shared moment reinforced their commitment to moving forward. One Saturday evening, after attending a vibrant outdoor concert, Lucy and Michael found themselves wandering the streets, their hands entwined, laughter echoing around them. The excitement of live music still buzzed in their veins, and for the first time in a long while, the air felt lighter. "Can we stop by that new ice cream shop?" Lucy suggested, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Lead the way," Michael replied, squeezing her hand as they veered off towards the vibrant neon sign glowing in the distance. Inside, they were greeted with an array of flavors, each more indulgent than the last. Lucy's eyes widened at the options. "What do you think? Chocolate-covered strawberry or lavender honey?" "Both sound incredible," he said, a hint of mischief lighting his eyes. "Why not mix them?" "Are you sure we can do that?" she asked, tilting her head playfully. "Why not? We're adults," he shrugged, grinning. Lucy laughed, taking the plunge. "Okay, let's do it." As they ordered, the anticipation of savoring their unique creation felt like a small victory, a testament to how they currently faced life together, embracing spontaneity and joy. With their cones in hand, they stepped back outside, the summer breeze enveloping them like a comforting embrace. They walked along the bustling street, immersed in the chatter of street performers and families enjoying the warm evening. "How does this feel?" Michael asked suddenly, taking a lick of his ice cream. "Just us. No pressure, no big emotional talks, just enjoying the moment." "It feels amazing," Lucy replied, savoring the sweet taste that lingered on her tongue. "It's moments like these that remind me of what love can be, fun and carefree." As they ambled leisurely down the street, the fleeting tension that had marked their previous conversations felt like a distant memory. They were free, if only for a moment, and it was beautiful. But as they sought to enjoy their time together, Lucy knew the reality of their journey lay in the balance between spontaneity and the reality of their healing. The shadows of their past were intrinsic to their story, like the flavors they had newly blended. After leaving the ice cream shop, they found a bench in a nearby park. Sitting under the dappled light that filtered through the leaves, they continued their conversation. "Sometimes I feel like our relationship is this juggling act," Michael confessed, attempting to gauge the depth of their newfound connection. "We dance between the past and where we're headed, and I'm just afraid of dropping the ball." Lucy smiled softly, recognizing his vulnerability and the weight it carried. "It's okay to feel that way. No one has a foolproof plan for love. We grow through our mistakes, and that's part of this chaotic beauty." "I wish I could be as confident as you about all of it," he said, his brow furrowing slightly. "It's challenging for me not to default to self-doubt." "I get it," she replied, leaning closer. "But maybe we can both agree to normalize the uncertainty, to reach for the light together amidst the occasional ebb of confidence." Michael nodded, absorbing her words as they sat in contemplative silence, watching the world flow around them. As the evening transitioned from the glow of golden hour to deepening twilight, Lucy felt a swell of gratitude for moments like these. They might have been fractured, but together they were forging an uncharted path, a connection that allowed both lightness and depth. Days turned into weeks, and Lucy and Michael found themselves balancing enjoyment and inevitable challenges. Their conversations shifted from clarity to complexity, tackling their pasts in layers that unfolded slowly, like petals revealing themselves to the sun. Michael continued to grapple with his feelings of inadequacy. Each time a shadow loomed over their intimacy, Lucy reminded him that acknowledging emotions meant they were still navigating paths toward healing, not stepping backward. One evening, while making dinner together in their kitchen, Lucy sensed the heaviness in his silence. "What's on your mind?" she asked, stirring the pot on the stove. "It's just, sometimes I feel like this whole journey is marked by my failures," he said, his tone heavy with defeat. "There are days I still feel like I don't deserve to be with you." "Michael," she said, turning to face him with earnest empathy. "You're not alone in feeling that way. There are days I feel the same. But we've chosen to stay and fight for this together." "I know. But when it comes to the tough conversations, I still find myself wanting to run, to hide from the truth," he confessed, his voice tinged with frustration. "What if we just can't make it past all of this?" "We can," she insisted. "We've come so far already. Every time you open up, every time I share my fears, we're chipping away at those walls. Trust takes time, and it's okay to feel uncertain." "I'm just scared," he admitted, his vulnerability spilling into the atmosphere. "Scared of being open, scared of losing you again." "Being scared is okay," Lucy said, leaning in to wrap her arms around him. "But I want you to know that we can confront this fear together. It's when we deny it that we allow it to fester." In their shared silence, Lucy felt the heaviness of their unspoken fears settle. Just then, a familiar sound broke the quiet, the distant echo of laughter emanating from their backyard. "Do you hear that?" Michael asked, tilting his head as the sounds drifted closer. Lucy smiled. "It's our neighbors. I think they're having a barbecue. Why don't we join them? It could bring some lightness back into the evening." Michael hesitated, torn between wanting to share in the fleeting joy of community and being emotionally drained. "Do you really think it'll help?" "Absolutely. Just think of it as a gathering of good energy," she urged, her excitement infectious. "We can step away from the weight of our hearts and enjoy the moment." Sighing with resignation, he nodded slowly. "Okay, you sold me. Let's go," he said, a willingness glimmering in his eyes. As they stepped outside, the warmth of laughter and the aroma of grilled food enveloped them, filtering the heavy moments they had faced. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, a reminder of the beauty that could exist amidst moments of uncertainty. They found their neighbors buzzing with life, faces illuminated by joy, and for that evening Lucy and Michael were swept up in the camaraderie. They mingled around the makeshift tables, exchanging stories, laughter soaring high above the deeper concerns that loomed just out of reach. Chapter 9. Breaking the Silence. As the summer deepened, Lucy and Michael continued embracing the beauty of their shared moments while grappling with the complexities of their healing journey. But beneath the surface of laughter and connection, shadows still lurked, remnants of their past that occasionally stirred unease within their hearts. One Sunday morning after a restless night, Lucy awakened with a sense of weight that she couldn't shake. It hovered over her like a thick fog, a familiar anxiety gnawing at her edges. She glanced over at Michael, who was still asleep, his features relaxed in slumber. The peaceful sight tugged at her heart, a comforting reminder of the bond they had forged. But Lucy also recognized the undercurrents of distraction within her, thoughts of unresolved issues that felt pressing, waiting to be addressed. After showering and brewing coffee, Lucy took a moment to gather her thoughts. They had made real progress, but there were conversations lingering in the corners of their relationship, unspoken fears that needed to be voiced. As Michael stirred awake, her heart raced with the anticipation of what lay ahead. "Good morning," he said, stretching. Sleep still clung to his voice. "What's the plan for today?" "Good morning. I was thinking we could grab breakfast and talk a bit. There's something on my mind." Her words came out a little more hesitantly than she intended. "Sure. I'm in," he replied, his tone warming as he rubbed the sleep from his eyes. After breakfast, they found a small cafe bustling with activity, tables occupied with families and friends enjoying the Sunday sun. They settled into a cozy corner, coffee steaming between them. "I love this place," Lucy said, peering around at the vibrant atmosphere. "It feels lively." "Yeah, it's nice. There's always something happening here," Michael agreed, but she noticed a slight furrow in his brow, an indication that he was still somewhat distant. Lucy took a breath, steeling herself for the conversation she had known was necessary. "There's something I'd like to discuss. It feels like there are still topics between us that we haven't fully addressed." Michael shifted in his seat, a shadow passing over his face. "What do you mean?" "I think we need to explore more of the unresolved issues from our past. There are conversations we've been avoiding," she said softly. "We've made great progress, but it feels a bit incomplete." The corner of Michael's mouth tightened, and Lucy recognized the tension in his posture. "I guess I've been feeling that way too," he admitted slowly. "But I'm also scared of where those conversations might lead." "Me too," she replied gently. "But I believe that confronting them head-on could free us both. We need to address the weight we've been carrying together." He leaned back, staring into his coffee as if searching for answers. "Okay, but where do we even start?" "I think we can start by talking about the things we still feel guilty about," she suggested. "The mistakes we've made, how they've impacted us and our relationship." Michael inhaled sharply, his gaze drawn to the bustling cafe around them. "You mean, you want to talk about my past and how it affected everything?" "Yes," Lucy nodded, heart thumping in her chest. "We can't fully heal if we're leaving those chapters unchecked. We have to confront the hurt in order to move forward." He exhaled slowly, clearly grappling with the weight of his emotions. "I'm scared of reliving those moments. I don't want to hurt you again." "I know," she acknowledged, reaching across the table to squeeze his hand. "But I'm strong enough to hear it. And so are you. It's a necessary step." After a moment's hesitation, he reluctantly met her gaze. "All right, let's do it." The conversation unfolded like a delicate bloom, each petal revealing layers of pain and remorse. Michael shared the burden of his past mistakes, his struggles with addiction, the scars it left behind, and how those decisions had shaped their relationship. With every word, Lucy listened attentively, holding space for his vulnerabilities without judgment. "I let you down, Lucy. I know that. I see your pain and it eats at me. I wish I could take everything back and protect you from the hurt I caused," he said, the weight of his guilt heavy in his voice. She remained steadfast, her heart aching for the man sitting across from her. "You're not the only one responsible for the hurt we've both endured. I've also made mistakes, and we've both contributed to the complexity of our story. Like when you shut me out during the worst of it. When I was at my lowest. You turned away." Michael's voice faltered, but he pressed on. "I was scared," she admitted, tears glistening in her eyes. "I didn't know how to support you while keeping myself safe. I felt helpless watching you struggle, and I didn't know how to reach you." He nodded slowly, acknowledging the truth of her words. "Sometimes I still feel like I'm that person who hurt you. I don't know how to exorcise that from my mind." "Maybe you won't completely exorcise it," she suggested gently. "It's part of who you are. But we cannot allow the past to dictate our future. We're growing, and it's okay to carry those scars while moving forward." "Do you really believe we can heal from this?" Michael asked, sincerity etched in his features. "I do," Lucy replied, feeling the warmth of determination blossoming in her chest. "We've shown that we can support each other even in our darkest moments. It means we're learning, and we must continue to trust the process." After hours spent unraveling their complicated feelings, they both knew they had begun to break down barriers, piece by piece. The conversations were difficult, but there was something beautiful in the raw authenticity they shared, an acknowledgement that their past had not defined the depths of their connection. As they made their way back home, Lucy felt a renewal of hope. They had taken a vital step towards healing, exchanging fear for understanding, a bridge they had both longed to cross. Later that evening they settled on the couch, the remnants of their earlier discussion lingering in the air. Michael turned to her, a thoughtful expression shaping his face. "How do you feel after everything we talked about?" "I feel lighter," she said, a smile breaking through her once worn facade. Almost like we've unclogged the emotional pipeline between us. How about you? I feel relieved but also scared about what lies ahead, he confessed, vulnerability returning to his gaze. Will we always have to work through these things together? Yes, she affirmed, taking his hand gently. But that's part of building something real. If we can communicate through the darkness, we can find the light on the other side. Silence enveloped them as they breathed in the weight of their journey. The shadows that still flickered around the edges no longer felt suffocating. Instead, there was an acknowledgement of their shared commitment to exploring honesty, even when met with fear. As the weeks transitioned into months, Lucy and Michael continued navigating the intricate landscape of their love, the push and pull of vulnerability, the ebb and flow of trust. They began incorporating routines that centered around open communication, creating safe spaces for discussing their feelings without fear of judgment. Times it felt precarious, uncertain. But each exchange only reinforced the foundation upon which they were building. Chapter 10. Confronting the past. The days that followed were a whirlwind of anticipation and anxiety for Lucy. The text from her ex, Brian, lingered in her mind like an echo that refused to fade. While she understood that closure was essential for her own journey, the prospect of digging into the past weighed heavily on her heart. Michael was supportive, but she could sense an undercurrent of worry within him. They made a pact to keep their lines of communication open, while also agreeing to explore the feelings that surfaced as the meeting approached. On the evening of their scheduled meetup, Lucy felt a mix of determination and trepidation as she prepared. She dressed thoughtfully, wanting to feel strong and anchored in herself. Standing in front of the mirror, she practiced reassuring herself, reminders of her growth, how far she had come since leaving that chapter behind. Just be honest, she whispered to her reflection. You can do this. The cafe where they were to meet felt filled with an anxious energy, the hushed conversations of patrons blending with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee. Lucy arrived early, her heart pounding as she looked around for a familiar face. When Brian walked in, a part of her felt instantly transported back to memories of their time together. The laughter, the excitement, and also the pain. He spotted her and approached with a tentative smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Lucy, he said, his voice gentle. It's good to see you. Hey, Brian, she replied, her tone even as she fought to maintain her composure. Thanks for agreeing to meet. They found a small table tucked in the corner, and as they settled into their seats, Lucy took a deep breath. She noticed the changes in him. His hair was shorter, and his demeanor seemed more subdued than she remembered. How have you been? She asked, aiming to open the dialogue. I've been okay. Trying to make sense of everything, he replied, looking down at his hands. I know it's been a while since we talked. Yes, it has, Lucy agreed, feeling the weight of unspoken words hanging between them. I wanted to reach out because, well, I've had a lot of time to think about our relationship, he said, gazing up. And I realize now how much I took for granted. I was careless and I hurt you. Lucy felt a rush of emotions, a combination of anger, sadness, and a strange sense of relief. It was the acknowledgement she had longed for, but part of her still recoiled at the memories. You were a part of my life, she replied slowly, choosing her words carefully. But the relationship was not healthy for either of us. Brian nodded, his expression solemn. I regret how things ended and how I treated you. I've done a lot of reflection and I'm working on being a better person. I wanted to apologize for the pain I caused. The sincerity in his voice was evident, and for a moment, Lucy felt a flicker of empathy. It's not just about the apology, though. It's about recognizing the patterns we fell into and how they impacted us both. Yeah, he said softly. I realize now that I put my own needs above yours, and I'm sorry for making you feel small. I didn't understand what love meant back then. Understanding is a journey, she said, the courage beginning to swell within her. I've also learned a lot since our time together. I became so focused on making things work that I lost parts of myself in the process. I didn't speak up when I should have. I remember how much I loved our time together, he admitted, sadness creeping into his voice. But I was also scared to lose myself. It's taken me a long time to realize that love shouldn't come at the cost of losing ourselves. Lucy stared at him, surprised by his acknowledgement. It's a difficult lesson to learn, she replied, letting his words sink in. But it's a necessary one. Do you think we could ever be in each other's lives again in a different way? He asked tentatively. She paused, the question hanging in the air. I think the best thing for us is to move forward separately, she replied gently but firmly. I need to embrace the lessons from our past without it shaping my future. I understand, he said, his expression softening. I just wanted you to know that I wish you all the best. Maybe we can both grow from this, even if we're heading in different directions. Thank you, Lucy said, her heart swelling with gratitude. This conversation is helping me find closure. I hope you find what you're looking for too. As they wrapped up their conversation, Lucy felt lighter, the weight of her past slowly lifting. They parted with a warm hug. This time it was free of the lingering hurt and bitterness. When she returned home, Michael was waiting, his expression shifting from concern to relief as she walked through the door. How did it go? He asked, his eyes searching hers for answers. We talked, she said, feeling a gentle smile tugging at her lips. He apologized, and I was able to express my truth. I think I finally found the closure I needed. Michael took a step closer, wrapping his arms around her in a warm embrace. I'm so proud of you, he said, his voice steady. I know that wasn't easy, but you handled it beautifully. Thank you for being so supportive, she replied, melting into his presence. It feels good to let go of that chapter wholly. As they stood together, Lucy finally understood the beauty of confronting one's past. It wasn't just about making sense of lingering emotions. It was also about honoring the growth that came from those experiences. The following days seemed to come alive with possibilities. As Lucy and Michael continued navigating their relationship, they did so with a renewed sense of purpose and connection. One evening, while they were reading together on the couch, Michael turned the page of his book and met her gaze. Now that you've addressed your past, how do you feel about us? He asked, hesitating slightly as if weighing his words carefully. I feel incredibly connected to you, she replied, a soft smile lighting up her face. Facing our fears together has changed everything for me, and I want to continue choosing this, us. I feel the same way, he admitted, a look of relief washing over him. We've been through so much, but it's made me realize how committed I am to our future. As they nestled closer together, Lucy marveled at their journey, the ups and downs, the growth and pain. It was messy and complicated, but it was undeniably real. In the weeks that followed, they conquered new milestones, opening up about their dreams and aspirations, sharing their fears, and confronting any doubts head-on. Their hearts were intertwined, a tapestry woven from threads of honesty and vulnerability. But even amidst their joy, Lucy knew that some shadows were meant to linger. Life wasn't about erasing the past but rather embracing it as part of their story. One rainy afternoon, Lucy found herself inspired to put pen to paper, capturing the essence of their journey in heartfelt prose. Words flowed freely as she poured her experiences into a letter filled with gratitude, acknowledgement, and love. Eventually, she placed it in an envelope, sealing it with a promise to share it with Michael when the time was right. This was a testament of her commitment to them, a reflection of their continued growth. With her heart open and the future ahead of her, Lucy was ready to carve out her path, embracing whatever came next in their extraordinary journey.